Hey everyone, it's Keldek here. I'm back with another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to cover some of these, 15 teams for the Otherworld Exploration bosses that I came up with in my return to Season 4. I'm quite behind the curve when it comes to the rest of my alliance and where everyone else is at, so I'm trying to play catch up. At the moment, I'm right at top 25%. I don't really expect that to change moving forward. It is what it is. You know, we're just going to try to finish and do the best that we can with this and see how we can end the season at this point. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're just going to go in order with the bosses. I do have 15 total teams. Not every boss has same number of teams. I had to get a little creative given my lack of resources and being so far behind the curve. So yeah, we're gonna showcase these teams and get on with it. First up, we have Ylfir. We have 2 teams for this. 3 teams for Ylfir. The teams' names that I have saved, they're not as exactly accurate for all teams. I have kind of adjusted them, and I've improved my psychic core a little bit and things like that since creating them. But all these teams work. This one here requires a little bit more just to stay alive. We'll go over some gear real quick. We have Perseus. I should probably load it first. So we have Perseus here. Yeah, he's wearing a DPS set. He's got the conch for defense down debuff. We have Espalta is our main DPS here. We have Taldi, who's going to provide some additional DPS, and then we have Zarloth for support and healing. Most of these teams don't really have very much timing involved. I will show for each one. Most of them are just default and let it run. This stage of my account, I do have enough heroes that I don't have to try super hard to create the teams, but some of them are a little tricky, just lack of gear and lack of resources to level more units. So we'll go ahead and start this one, let it run. We got to make sure that these are always set. For whatever reason, when you choose a team still today, it doesn't remember the last aura that you had set. That is what it is. So I'll go ahead and start this. And we just have, what's his name in there? Ripicus in there just for the affinity bonus. He's not really doing anything. He's going to die pretty early. All we care about is hitting 22 million. We have to use every resource that we have available to us, including affinity. So, especially considering my psychic core is not capped, is not maxed out yet. So, as you can see, this team easily reaches 22 million. I could probably modify it and change it up to improve it and split it up, but I already have 15 teams, so I don't really need to. So we're going to go ahead and save this one and get right into the next one. It's a little bit time consuming waiting for these loading screens and things to go, but it is what it is. So our next team up is this one here. We are using Galende for some DPS and some heals. We're using Daphne for the shadow ability. Joyce, summon. I mean, it's not really a synergistic team. Malvernal, just because we have to level her anyway for the end boss stage, so I wanted to make sure that I put the resources into her straight away. And then we have Estella for some additional support and healing. This one here, default timings, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, we're gonna let this one run, and we don't have an affinity bonus for this team, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna hit 22 million. And I believe one or two of my teams, I might have to run it a couple times to hit 22 million, because two of them, I believe, are not against the correct boss. It was just easier to run them against a different boss to stay alive a little bit longer. I don't think this is one that I have to run multiple times. I think this one's pretty consistent. So, yep, there we go, 22 million. I'm not going to let these run all the way through, just because once you hit 22 million at this point, for these 15, it no longer matters from there. So we can just quit them and then save them. As long as we hit 22 million, that's all that matters. I really fell behind on the Chief Challenges portion of the season, because I came back to the game about more than halfway through that, so I really didn't get much out of it. I just didn't have any resources to farm more gear. I didn't have any resources to level more heroes. It is what it is, you know. Again, we're going to do the best we can getting to the end of the season, and that's all that really matters. We got one more Ylfir team to go through. And then for most of these bosses too, I found that placement on the board doesn't really seem to matter at this point, because most of these bosses have full board AoE, you know, debuffs and everything else like that. This one here is one of those teams where the affinity doesn't match the boss. Ylfir actually happens to be one of the easier bosses to run a team like this against. We have Aladia for some support and shielding. We have Astion for some healing and a little bit of debuffing. Felocia for more support and healing, and then our main damage dealer is Secretia. Of course, Inspiration 5 on her, so she carries this team as far as DPS goes. And again, all default on the timings, so we'll go ahead and use that. We don't have any affinity bonuses on this one either, but we don't need it. I do try to, well, on the other teams, one thing I did mention, or forget to mention for Ylfir, I did try to keep like one of my support away from the other units, just so they can, you know, survive a little bit longer without him attacking. But eventually he's going to jump over there and he's going to attack them anyway, and then, you know, drag the melee units around, so on and so forth. So just kind of delaying the inevitable. But, you know, again, this team, it does 22 million easily. I'm just going to let this run real quick and then finish up on that. There we go. Once again, once we hit 22 million, we can safely quit and save and move on to the next one. Just be sure to make, you know, that you actually hit 22 million before you quit and save. Otherwise, you'll get less points. Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to be said about that. We'll move on to the next boss, which will be Shinna. I have a handful of teams for this one as well. I think one of my other teams is not affinity related to this one, if I remember correctly. We're gonna find out. Yeah, we have we have this ranky-dink team. No, this is fire. It's this ranky-dink team that is not affinity friendly towards this boss whatsoever, but it just works out best this way. So we have 4 total teams for Shinna. We're going to go ahead and load this up real quick. We have Chrysos here for some defense and shielding. It's, I believe he does attack penalty. Keep her DPS down. Casper is the main DPS unit for this team. Ergander is he's kind of there just for tanking a little bit. And then we have Vikuk here for support and healing. And again with this one, we do have some timing set on this one. I just want to make sure. Oh, I think, yeah, I forgot that Ergander is also placing our defense down debuff. Not very consistently. He just hits one time, so there's a 60% chance to land it. But, you know, it's the only unit that I have for it. So Chrysos, we have him going 12 and 18 just to make sure that he's getting his attack down and also giving us a shield every... This is actually going to be around 18 seconds because he has the hourglass, which doesn't reflect in this timing at all. You just kind of have to guesswork it. But as long as he's consistently going around 18 seconds, by the time we get to 22 million, we'll still be alive. And then Argander and Casper here going just to make sure that they stay in sync with each other, because Casper will end up going before Argander if I don't set the timing on this one. So that's really the only thing that matters. And we split this one up. It doesn't really matter. He's going to run up here anyway. I just hadn't dragged him over. Again, Shinna does all, like, this is the only one that attacks like a single target or whatever. And then this one here, the ultimate hits the whole screen either way, so it doesn't really matter where you place them. I have attack aura from Casper, and let's get it started. This one's a little bit slower because I only have one like real DPS in here. One thing I guess I could do is expand this as well. And you can see Casper's doing, he's carrying this whole team. He's actually one of my favorite units, even though wild teams are not that good this season. He's still one of my favorite units just because he's very slept on. A lot of people have him but don't use him because he's not considered one of the best. But man, his ult can hit pretty damn hard, and he's a pretty nice enabler too. Alright, so team's slowly starting to die off. Right there, we just hit 22 million, didn't even have to stop it. This might be one of those ones where you end up having to run it a couple of times just to make sure you hit 22 million. In this case, I'd, hit it and pass it just by a little bit. Again, Casper did all the DPS here. I mean, Chrysos and Argander did some. Vikuk did a little bit, but is that Vikuk? I forget. And yeah, we're going to save that one and move on to the next one. One more. These loading screens really kill you. Okay, we just did that one, and now we have kind of a more traditional wild team here. Felicity is our main DPS. Tanalnan is secondary DPS. I could put, well, no, because I have Sonarl in the other set. But just secondary DPS, and I put in a little bit of tank gear just to give him a little bit more HP and defense for survivability. And then Sonarl, he's doing what Sonarl does. And he's providing that damage boost with the Cyril set. So this one here, I did set timings just a little bit. I made sure Felicity goes after Tanalnan on the first one. Then I just kind of let her free cast. Because you won't hit 22 million if you try to lock her at 20 seconds to match Tanalnan. So I just let her free cast be on there, and sometimes she'll ult when the defense down is up, and sometimes she won't. But Tanalnan does bring some secondary DPS, and then everybody else, of course. Who's that? Jotun or Jorn and what's his name? Holdork are both level 1. They're just there for the affinity bonus. And we'll go ahead and start this one as well. Again, on this one, it doesn't matter where the units are placed. They're going to get hit by the debuffs and ult anyway. So this one should be pretty consistent, 22 million. I think I'll survive just long enough to hit it. Of course, my level 1 units are going to die really quickly, but again, all that matters is we hit 22 million. And we're halfway there already. I do believe Tanalnan dies before we hit 22 million, and then Felicity just kind of carries the rest, or maybe not. I don't know. right at 22 million. So, and you know, we're at 24 now, so we'll go ahead and quit that one. Go ahead and save that and move on to the next one. Let's see. So we just did that one. This one here, this is basically, I mean, it is a Dauntless team. But this was basically, these are the heroes I have to put together, and they couldn't do 22 million on a Sketchius. So I tried them out on different bosses, and Shinna was the most consistent at reaching 22 million. We got Stanglum here, defense, just your typical tank. We have Facia here for support, some debuffs and defense down. Catherine here is our sole support for heals. She does a pretty good job, just enough to keep the team alive for long enough to do 22 million. And of course we have two of the old goats of Dauntless / Lightning, Shaltar, you know, straight up DPS, with as much enlightenment as I could get. I don't have very good gear, so his enlightenment bonus is not great, but it is what it is. You know, we do what we can. And then last but not least, we have Shagroll, more DPS, and I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly, these two basically split the DPS between them. And we do have a little bit of timing set up here just to make sure. This one for Catherine is to make sure we have a heal right before the ult, because she'll give us debuff immunity, which will get rid of the cold debuff, or to prevent the cold debuff from being put on us. And also the same with the Facia here. I have her going to default, and then 19.7 seconds. Because she's putting the defense down, so I have to put her in line with my 2 DPS, otherwise they'll fall out of sync and probably wouldn't hit 22 million. So that being said, let's go ahead and run this, set the attack or the aura to attack speed, and let it rip. This one I might have to run once or twice to get 22 million. We'll see how it goes. And you can tell for sure the damage output, you know, 2 epics in a game of Inspiration 3 to 5, you know, Legos from Season 4, they're just not up to par anymore. They still do well, but, you know, they're definitely not the best units out there anymore. I mean, they never were really the best, but they did, you know, some of the better Dauntless teams were using, you know, a combination of them. Especially if you didn't have Sotha or the other two. I forget their names off the top of my head. But looks like hopefully we're going to get 22 million out of this before we start dying. There goes our healer. We have to run this one again. No dice on the 22 mil this time. A lot of it falls down to Catherine's ult and making sure that it hits when it's lands when it's supposed to. But do what we got to do to succeed, right? And looking at the damage here, of course, you can see there's, you know, the damage is split between them. Alright, let's survive this one. I'm going to move on to the next one. This might be one of those bad RNG sets where I have to come back and do it a couple of times. So I'm going to skip this one. I'll come back to it at the end. I know that this team can do 23 million, 22 million. I just doesn't want to play nice at the moment. So I'll go ahead and do the other team, and then I'll come back to that one just to try to get it done while I'm still here. Exit out. This one here is basically a 3-unit team. Ogok keeps everyone alive. We have Elminster here for debuffs and some shielding. We have Eric here for main DPS. He pretty much does all the DPS. We have Ogok here for healing and keeping us alive. And then we have Ashkar here for applying defense down. And, you know, again, the skill timing on this one, the only one that's set is Eric here to make sure he goes after Ashkar. And then we make sure that Ashkar goes every 20 seconds so he doesn't fall too far out of sync with Eric. And other than that, timing is default. I'll go ahead and run this. Set the R to attack and let this run. This one I know should do 22 million pretty easily. Of course, once, so this is going to be another one of those where RNG is just not going to play nice today. I could have swore this was a pretty consistent team. I don't think they're going to be able to do all the way to 22 million without Eric. I swear I can run this 100 times and these teams will work 100 times, and then as soon as I get on stream and try to showcase the team, they fail. It happens every time. If it fails again, I'll go make sure that everybody's gear is still the same. It should, no, I just did. I went over the gear, so it's not that. It is what it is. RNG just doesn't like me sometimes, I guess. And a lot of these most certainly aren't the most effective teams out there. Damn, I killed Ashkar pretty early again. I mean, I know he's only level 50, but damn. Thought I had Ogok to where he was going fast enough to keep him alive, but I guess not. Hopefully Eric can stay alive. He's dipping mighty low. We're getting close. All we care about is that 22 million. There we go. Go ahead and quit that out. And again, here's Eric. He does all the damage on this. Elminster does a little bit. Ogok and these guys do virtually none. I'll go ahead and save that, and we'll go back to that other team and try to see if RNG will play more in our favor. If not, I'll skip it and come back to it at, you know, it's the last one. I do know for a fact that the team works. I've used it 2 days in a row now. But again, it's just an RNG thing, and it doesn't have the damage bonus if I'd use it against the right boss. The problem is I can't survive when I'm facing that boss with this team. And I don't have any resources to get Catherine leveled back up. Again, we'll go back through this gear right quick. Stangwom is just our tank. Facia is supporting debuffing, defense down. Catherine's keeping us alive with heals. Make sure she has the right stuff. I don't have an enlightenment chest. I just had to put her in defense. And Shaltar Dauntless and Shaggerl Dauntless. So let this run again, and hopefully this time we can get it done. And again, the DPS split between the two of them, so it's kind of important for them to live long enough together to get to 22 million. If one of them die early just from a bad hit, it is what it is. Have to restart and do it again. Hopefully, I don't want to have to keep doing this all night just to get this team to work. If nothing else, maybe I'll try it against the sketchiest once again and see if it'll work against him. It has not before, but I've also been able to use this team against iffier, but yesterday it started dying a lot, so I had to try a different one, and it was working against Shinna like 5 times in a row that I ran it. And of course there goes Shaltar. I don't think we're going to get there again. So we're going to go ahead and quit this one out. Maybe I'll try to run it against Sketchiest to see if it'll... I'm pretty sure it won't. Like I'm 99.9% sure that it will not hit 22 million, but we'll come back to it at Shinna if we have to. For now, we're going to move on. These last 2 teams, so that team that I just used, the Dauntless team, and then that other team with this team here was kind of thrown together. I was just scrapping for resources. I just don't have anything left to invest more. So we do what we can. I'll get to 22 million before the night's over. That much I know. Anyhow, moving on to the next boss. We have Quasitia. These teams are pretty easy. She is a kind of a tricky boss because she'll pull your unit over and kind of lay havoc. The idea then is to get your DPS out before she kills you. So I have this team here. This is basically just Calavera and Whisk. Whisk is all the DPS. Calavera is providing support and heals, and Whisk is doing pretty much everything else. I have Stegamuff in here for some defense down. He doesn't live too long, and Howlermar here just for some added DPS. And added healing. Does he heal the team or does he heal himself? I don't even know why I have that gear on him. Anyhow, he's going to die pretty soon too. Again, this is going to come down to Calavera and Whisk. They're going to get it done. So, let me show the timing. Pretty sure this is, mostly default. I just have Whisk going a little later. It doesn't really show here that, it says here that his initial recharge time is 11.7 seconds, but because he's Inspiration 5, there's something weird with his timer where he'll go at like 10 seconds instead. So I always have to time him, even if he's slower than my defense down unit. But, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. He's going to carry this team anyway. And Calavera's, a beast for tanking and support. This one should be done pretty quickly. I'm going to show the damage stats here. Of course, Whisk is doing 90% of all the damage, so that's how the team was built. He's Inspiration 5, so it kind of helps. And I'm pretty sure these will last almost the whole time if I really had to, but there we go. 22 million easy. Go ahead and quit that out. I wish this screen would move a little faster. Go ahead and save that and then on to the next one. And of course, no day would be complete without the Rook team. This one is a little bit different just because I need an enabler. Rook cannot, even though he's Inspiration 2 and has pretty decent gear, just he can't get to 22 million by himself. He has to have a corrosion enabler. So I have Dargo here, a typical set. I can actually go and change Dargo's gloves to something else. I did get a couple more pairs of crit rate gloves here. So I'll go ahead and throw one of those on. That should keep him with enough accuracy to land defense down without having to worry about it. And give him a little bit more DPS. Although, again, it doesn't matter. Rook's doing all of the DPS on this team. Timing is just set up to where keep Rook in line with Dargo. Because Rook's numbers are a little bit different. Plus, I need that 3-second buffer between the time that, or from the time that Dargo casts his ult till it lands, because it's like a 3-second delay. So I always have to make Rook and Co go later. And then Frubath, I have at every 20 seconds for some odd reason. I forget why. Probably not necessary. I'm gonna attack bonus aura, and we'll let this go. This will easily hit 22 million. I mean, there's no real question of whether or not it'll hit it, because it's going to. It's Rook, after all. Rook is, one of the most overpowered units in the game. So. And not for lack of trying, but I still do not have Ozul, and I'm likely never. Oh no, I didn't want to hit. No, I don't want to hit that. I want to hit quit so I can save it. I still don't have Ozul, and I've pulled a crap ton for him, and the game just will not give him to me. So it is what it is. It's one of those units I just can't get. I can't get Zephy either. I pulled on her banner for pretty much every time her banner came up. Who else couldn't I get? I don't have Flora. I'd love to have Flora. I pulled on her banner several times as well. Just never got her. It is what it is. So that's both of the Quasitia teams done. We're going to move on to Rook. Rook is another bit of a tricky one. He starts out really slow, but he ramps up very quickly. And if you don't get your damage in before he starts nuking the crap out of you, you're going to have a bad day. This one here is your typical Laurential, Alton, and Filto rally team. Filto's doing the bulk of the DPS. Alton's doing our defense down. Acilia's keeping us alive. And then Laurential is the best rally enabler in the game that I'm aware of. And then skill timing is default on this one as well. So they probably fall out of sync with each other, just kind of the nature of Radiance and Rally. Laurential is a great enabler. It allows you to ult faster, but one of these two will fall out of sync because it's like a... What is it? Consumes their ultimate and recharges ultimate energy by 25%. If they don't always have Rally when this is up, then it won't matter. The important thing is, though, is to get Laurential going as close to every 15 seconds as possible. I don't have enough gear with haste on it, but I'm pretty sure with the Hourglass, he'll go roughly every 15 seconds because you want that ult up as much, every time that you can possibly get it up. Otherwise, it's just a matter of letting the other units do their thing. I wish this would stay open when you click it. But again, Filto's going to do all the damage here. He's kind of a beast. He's not my favorite unit. A lot of people swear by him. I actually like, what's his name? Is it Hold? It's not Holdork, is it? The other rally guy. I like him better. But, Filto gets the job done, so either way it doesn't matter. There you have it, right at 22 million. We can quit. I hope that's 22 million. If I didn't read that incorrectly, that'd be funny. I saved it at 2 million. No, 26 million. Easy peasy. And again, Filto did the majority of the damage. Alton did a little bit, and Laurential did a little bit. Save that, and on to the next one. Okay, we got our second Rook team here. This is the one I was talking about. What's his damn name? Been playing this game forever. Huberg. Been playing this game forever, and I still have trouble remembering half these units' names. So we have Ardrith here providing healing and support. We have Huberg here doing the DPS. Rose here is a little bit DPS and applies our defense down. I ended up leveling Bigby for something else. For the trials, I believe. I was trying to use his skills. He's pretty much a useless D&D unit. But I did end up leveling him for no reason. He's not going to wear any gear. I still need to level Yifir for my Sketchiest team. Once we get past the exploration phase and we get to the end boss, he's going to be a staple in that glitch team. Anyhow, the timings on this are pretty default. I just have Rose going every 20 seconds, just so make sure she doesn't later on. I don't think it really matters, but just want to make sure that she doesn't fall out of sync with Huberg here, and he doesn't start casting his ult when there's no defense down. Again, I don't think that it really matters. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit 22 million either way. I don't have an offensive aura, so we'll just roll with defense. Let this rip. And again, on these things, screen placement doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure Rook on this boss, I'm pretty sure that he hits the entire field as well, not like the playable character Rook, where it only goes in a like a diamond pattern or whatever, cross pattern. But again, this team should hit 22 million rather easily, with Huberg doing all the damage. And then, of course, Rose and Ardrith keeping them alive until we get to that point. And it looks like Huberg and Rose fell out of sync with each other anyway, so I don't know what happened. Oh, does Rook cast some debuffs for alt down or something? Anyway, we just made 22 million before they started dying. We can go ahead and quit that. Save it. Mission complete. Again, all that matters is 22 million at this point. You don't get extra points or anything like that for capping out the maximum amount of damage you can do. This is strictly 22 million and move on. So that's why I'm quitting these fights once I hit 22 million. Man, that loading screen is crazy. Actually, you know what? Oh well. On to the next one. Sketchiest. So I will try that Dauntless team. I'm 100% sure it's not going to get 22 million, but now that I say it, it will get 22 million, and I'll look silly. So it is what it is. We'll go ahead and run our. Oh yeah, we have 1, 2, 3 teams that we used against him already. Let's go ahead and try it just because, you know, this is the boss that they're supposed to be useful for, so we'll let that go. Place your bets now if you think it's actually going to hit 22 million. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Catherine's going to die really early in this one, and then he's just going to kill everyone. Could be wrong though. We're already at 3 million, so. This is what you have to go to when you come back midway through a season and you don't have any resources. Shit, so far this team is doing pretty good actually. We're already at 10 million. We might actually, no, it's going to die right around 16 million or 18 million, I think. If I recall correctly, I've ran this a couple times now. Yep, there we go. Shagrol's dead. What's his name's not going to be able to do it by himself. Yep, they're dead. What did I say? Right around 16 million. That's when they're going to start dying. And, you know, this team, these three remaining, they're not going to put out an additional, you know, what is it needed for 22? Another 6 million. It's not going to happen. So good. I could have redeployed instead of quit. We're not going to save this one. We'll go ahead, we'll come back to this team later. This team is my, I didn't have anything else to throw together team, so I mean most of the team is level 90, so it is what it is. Go ahead and run this team here. This is Sutha. I'm pretty sure she's the main DPS in this team, and then Fathom Down is our tank and defense down, and then we have Garius for healing, and then we have two more just for affinity bonus. Skill timing is all default on this one as well. We'll go ahead and get this one started. Yep, defense aura. And actually, Fathom Down does a pretty decent amount of DPS himself. I haven't built, I'm pretty sure I haven't built for DPS because I have Garius doing the main tanking. And Garius is also an excellent healer. But this team should not have any problems doing 22 million. Of course, now that I say that. Famous last words, right? And there you have it. 22 million before anybody started dying. Easy enough. Show the stats here. Sutha does most of the damage. Fathom Down does a decent amount of self, and then Garius is just there for heals and tanking. So that's cool. Get that one done. We're almost out of teams now, right? No, I have another Sketchiest team. A proper Dauntless team. Wait, did I do my... No, I didn't do my my Thunderbolt team yet either, did I? Did I jump the order? No, this is the one that I did. And then here's a Thunderbolt team. This one could be better because I have the Eye of the Witches... Witches remains on her, but she doesn't apply defense down apparently. So I don't have a defense down unit. It is what it is. We have Nathaniel here for healing and keeping us alive. Nissa here for enabling Perkunta. Of course, him is our main damage dealer, and then Orfina is also a really good damage dealer as well. Skill times are all default on this one. Nothing major to set. This one would do more damage if I had a proper defense down. But, I mean, this is throw teams together, throw units together, and get 22 million and save it and move on. There's no real... Like, you don't have to do a whole lot with these to, like, build the absolute best team for the maximum amount of damage. The goal is 22 million. If you can hit that, you're golden. So... I should, again, easily hit 22 million with this team. Funny enough, I actually just got Perkunta not so long ago. He was another unit that evaded me for a while, and I just pulled him. I pulled him off of a random, sure, just a random banner. Or he might have been on an exclusive banner that I pulled on. I can't remember now. But it wasn't too long ago. It was a couple weeks ago that I got him. For the first time. And we are 25 million right before the team wipes. Didn't even have to stop that one. Statistics wise, again, Perkunta does most of the damage. Orfina does. Orfina would do more damage if I didn't have her and the Witch's Remains and the accuracy, but I just I hit 22 million without rebuilding her, so I don't, you know, I didn't waste any time on it. I'm going to save that. And I think we have one more. Yeah, we have a proper Dauntless team. Pull this one up. This one here, I forget the damage of the total damage I did. But we have Theravel here. He'd probably do better in the what's it called, artifact, but he's our main damage dealer. Avelios is secondary damage dealer. Avelios is kind of one of those units. He's weird to build because he does derivative damage, but he can also do pretty good crit damage. So you want to try to build him with Enlightenment, but then also crit rate and crit damage. He's just a weird unit overall. And then we have Mithracia here for keeping us. Actually, she's going to resurrect most of my team several times because they do die pretty often. We have Sagamir here for tanking and some attack penalty debuffs. And then we have Gillian here just as a fifth unit for affinity bonus. Again, all the timings are default. And let this run. HPR, that's all we have, so go ahead and start. And as long as Mithracia doesn't die without having her resurrect on death buff applied, this will do 22 million. But you'll see here, right about halfway there, 12 million or so, they're all going to start dying back and forth. I know in my last several runs, you know, testing the team out, Theravel and Avelios both died multiple times, and I still hit 22 million. And now, of course, they're not going to die at all. This is really ironic because this will be the. There we go. That's why we have Revive. And there we have it, 22 million. We can go ahead and quit and save and move on to the next one. Alright, I'm pretty sure that was the last team for sketches. Now we have Fathom Down. This boss is actually a bit more difficult than it first seems. It's of course, as when they have him as a boss, he does an insane amount of damage, but when you use him, he's actually a defensive unit. So we did this team already. Up here's our single Fathom Down team. I don't have a lot of ice heroes leveled. I mean, this is pretty much it. We have Theodemir here for tanking and taunting a little bit, although it doesn't matter on this boss. He does share his defense and some of his attack as well. We have Shinna here for defense down, typical Ice Blast enabler, or one of the best Ice Blast enablers in the game, actually, the best. We have Beldel, built for DPS. She's going to do the bulk of our damage. And then we have Finja for healing. And we have Elikabre for healing and whatnot as well. Recovery over time and defense up. Although I'm pretty sure with the burn mechanic, defense up doesn't matter. Skill timing is the only one we have is Beldel going, you know, at 15 seconds. Just to make sure it gives Shinna enough time to apply defense down. And that is it. Go ahead and start this one. Again, this one should easily hit 22 million before they start dying, but I did have to level Elikabre up for that. Fathom Down actually has a lot of crowd control. If I had more resources, I'd build a better team. 2 teams, actually. I have enough DPS units to build 3, maybe even 4 teams to do 22 million. I just don't have the resources for it. over the next couple of days I probably will, and then I can get rid of that janky thrown together team that I had to make that for 22 million just to have my 15th team. There we have it. Easily 22 million from this team, even with all the CCs and stuns and everything like that. Wait for this. I wish we could skip this. Wish we could skip that scene. And again, Beldel does the most of the damage. Theodemir does some decent damage, and so does Shinna. We're going to collect that reward. I think we have 3 teams left now. And then I'll go through and I'll showcase all the, like I'll go through each team one by one at the end, just to show them all one by one, so you don't have to sit here and watch the entire video later. Anyhow, moving on to the last boss. Wait, no, that Fathom Down is the last boss. Wait, let me see how many. Oh, I have 1 team left, so now I got to go back and deal with. Ylfir again for that last team. Hopefully I can just get it done this time. The RNG will be in my favor with this janky team over here. This team can do 45 million. That's the ironic part. And now I can't even hit. Was it this one? No, not that team. What was it? Oh no, it was against Shinna. It was this team here, the Dauntless team. Well, since I'm here at Ylfir, I know that it can at some point hit 22 million on Ylfir, so I might as well give it a shot now and see. I probably could have swapped Facia and Catherine over just to keep the damage away from Catherine for as long as possible. We'll see how this does on the run, and maybe I'll reposition those units. Alright, we're halfway there. Can we get to the 22 million? Yeah, once Ylfir starts to get to about 7 or 8 stacks, he starts really ramping up his damage. And I don't think what's his name can carry me all the way to 22. We're gonna let it ride and see. We're close. Maybe we get lucky. We only need 2 more million. Maybe Facia can do it. Well, we're gonna see if Facia can get us there. Nope, we ran out of time. All right, let me move Catherine over and see if that helps. She actually didn't die, so I don't think that that's the problem, but this is part of, you know, she also is only level 90. Both of these are just part of the game. Yeah, I literally don't have any other units to use. I have Nadja here, but that's not going to help me in a Radiance and Lightning composition, or Affinity team. Sorry, the new version is going to be comps. But alright, let us run one more time with Catherine over here. Hopefully he'll leave them alone, and they can just focus on healing. If they don't have to heal themselves, they can heal the rest of the team. Although he's going to end up one-shotting like Shagrel or the other dude, Shaltar. Hopefully we can get to 22 million before then. But once he starts building up these, okay, now it froze my client. Oh great. I hope the game didn't freeze out completely. Oh man. Oh, here we go. So this total damage is at plus 200%, and every stack he gets, it just goes up another 100%. It's crazy. So, and each boss, I think, is the same buff. Okay, come on, let's. Oh my goodness, this is freezing up bad. That is one problem with this fast forward option in the game now, is sometimes it takes the client a long time to catch up. I basically have, when I do the Raging Vortex, my client becomes a slideshow for most of the fight, and I have to let it run for damn near forever to get it to finish. So far, he's leaving my healers alone, or my healer alone, so maybe she can get this going. And I might have to play with their timing too. I think they overlap a little bit on the debuff immunity, because both of these apply debuff immunity, and I probably didn't set their timing 100%. Yep, there goes Shagwell. Oh, we're at 23 million, so we hit it, so we're good to go. There we go. Got luckier that time. Finally, RNG played in our favor, and that is the 15, 22 million damage teams for Season 4 Otherworld Exploration. Again, I'll go back through each one of the teams one by one just to show them again in succession without having to sit through all the fights or fast forward. So we'll go here to the teams. Hopefully I can do this in a relatively efficient way. This is the equipment plan for Ylfir Team 1. And of course you have Perseus, Aspalta, Taldi, Zarloth, and Ripika's just there for the affinity bonus. Damn it. Yeah, this is not going to let me do it very efficiently. So Ylfir Team 1 is this one here. Ylfir Team 2 is this one here. Oh, you know what? I can just go through the numbers here, I guess. Yeah, there we go. We'll do that. So Team 2 is Daphne, Galende, Joyce, Belvanol, and Estella. Equipment plan looks as such. Belvanol is doing our defense down and providing that DPS buff from that set. Estella is keeping us alive and taking less damage herself. Galende is getting our heals going a little bit better as well. And then we just have DPS between Daphne and Joyce. Next up is our next Ylfir team. This is Secretia. This is one of those teams where it's not specific for this boss, but it works. I don't think it would probably work against, what's her name? The one boss. Quasitia. Just because of the get up here. I don't even have like a proper affinity bonus. I got ice. I got a 3-star ice of the Croesus, but Secretia is doing all the damage. So anyhow, this is what that equipment looks like. She's putting the defense down. Felocia is keeping us alive. Secretia is doing all the damage, and this one here is keeping us with some shielding and such like that, and some debuffs. Secretia, Aladia, that's the name. Astion and Felocia. Next team is our 22 million Shinna team. We got Chrysos, Casper, and Ergander, as well as Vikuk. Vikuk does the healing. Ergander's there for defense down. Chrysos is there for shields and such like that. And then Casper's our main DPS for this team. Next Shinna team is your typical burn team with Tanalnin and Felicity doing damage, and Sonaro keeping them alive just long enough to hit that 22 million mark. Tanalnin could be better. I should probably have her in the damage boost set, but she's just there to apply defense down for as long as possible, and then Felicity will get it to the 22 million. And then we have this janky team. I just did this team on Ylfir, but I know that it also works on Shinna as well. Either one of those, it's just kind of an RNG thing. This is not the best team in the world to use. Maybe if they were all level capped and stuff like that, it'd be a lot better. But again, I just don't have the resources for it. So Shagrol's built for DPS, Shaltar's built for DPS, Stanglin's built for defense and buffing them a little bit with DPS and attack. Facia is here for debuffing, and Catherine is here for heals. Next one, we have our Shinna 25 million team. We have Askar here doing defense down. We've got Eric, Elminster, and Ogok. Ogok is carrying the the survivability, and Eric is carrying the DPS. And this is what their gear looks like. We don't have anything on, what's his damn name? Pakeston? Yeah, Pakeston. He's just there for affinity bonus. And then we have our Quasitia team, 23 million, typical. Whisk 5, Inspiration 5 Whisk is just a beast. Calavera keeps everyone alive. Halramar does a little bit of healing as well, I believe. Or something. I don't even know why I put this gear on him, to be honest. I forget now. But equipment plan looks like so. This team comes down, or Stegamuffin does defense down for a little bit. But this team really comes down to Calavera and Whisk doing everything. Calavera's keeping Whisk alive, and Whisk is just going to town on the DPS. We have our Quasitia 28 million team. Needless to say, we have Dargo for defense down and enabling Rook. With Witches remains, we have Frubath keeping everybody alive, and of course Rook is the DPS monster on this team. Don't really need to say anything else about him. Then we have our Rook 27 million team. This is your typical rally team. Uses Filto. Again, not my favorite rally unit, but it is what it is. A lot of people like him. I think he's okay. I just don't like the positioning of his ult. Then we got Laurentiel for enabling Filto and Alton. And then we have Alton here for defense down. As you can see here, the Witches remains. Applies defense down, but then also does some decent damage. Filto is the main DPS, and then Acilia is keeping everybody alive. Oh crap, I left out of there, I didn't want to. And then we have our, so this is the Rook team, first Rook team, and then our secondary Rook team has Ardrith, Huberg. I kind of like Huberg better than the Filto. Filto probably has better DPS on paper, but it is what it is. Rose for defense down and attack down. And again, this is a 3-person carry team. Huberg does all the damage. Rose does a tiny bit of damage. And then Bigby is leveled just because I was using him for the pillar trials. But he's actually a pretty worthless unit, and I wasted, all the experience potions on him for nothing because he didn't do what I expected him to. Nonetheless, that's this team here. Again, here's the gear. Really comes down to Filto doing all this, and these other two, Rose and Ardrith keeping him alive. Or Huberg, not Filto, sorry. Huberg doing the DPS, and Rose and Ardrith keeping Huberg alive, as well as each other. Then we have our sketchiest 22 million team. Fathom Down does a fair bit of DPS. Garius is for healing and tanking. Asutha is the primary DPS on this team, with 2 level 1s just for affinity bonus. And this is what their gear looks like. Yep, that's pretty much it. And then our sketchiest 28 million team is our newly capable Thunderbolt team, because for the longest time I just did not have Perkunta. So I got him a couple of weeks ago. Of course, we have Orfina, Nissa. Both of these are enablers for Perkunta, if I recall correctly. And then we have Nathaniel for sustain and healing. Equipment looks like so. Orfina is doing the defense down. I'm pretty sure that defense down doesn't work, though, on her, because her ult doesn't directly do damage, but it is what it is. Don't really need it, because we can still get there. Damn it, I keep closing that. We're almost to the end here. Yep, here is our third sketchiest team. This one, Theravel and Avelios are the primary DPS. Sagamir is the tank, and he does a fair bit of healing himself with the whole carrot and stick thing, which doesn't really make sense. It makes sense to somebody, just not to me. And then of course Mithracia reviving and keeping everybody alive. Here's what their gear looks like. No defense down on this one either. I don't believe either Avelius or Theravil's ult will work for defense down. I could be wrong. Let me look at it again and see what it says. Oh, it just deals damage one time. So I guess I could put Witch's Remains on him, but it's not needed. It hits 22 million. That's all that matters. Then we have this Fathom Down, Ice Blast team. Obviously, Beldell's doing all the damage here. Shinna's doing the defense down. Theodomer is just doing what he does with tank. I don't think the taunt matters. Elekebre's here to keep everybody alive, and Fiendja's here as well to keep everybody alive, plus provide, a little bit of damage. And then we have, no, that was it. So that's the 15 teams. This is my dungeon team. But there you have it. I guess I can just show it here on the big screen in case somebody wants a screenshot. Again, you don't need to level all these units. I already covered which ones are leveled, which ones are low, and just there for affinity bonuses. But that's the 15 teams in a nutshell. Now let's see what we got for our efforts today. Looks like we're going to get one. I'm going to call it now. This is probably going to be the one of those when somebody dies in the arena thing, and this is not going to be an enlightenment healing chest, I can guarantee, because my luck so far has been crap when it comes to these. I'm going to claim that, and then let's see what we have. Oh, at least it's this one. Of course, it doesn't help me either. Like, I don't understand who would even put a piece of gear like this in a game where your ultimate your recharging speed is decreased by 50%. I think you could probably put this on like somebody like Avelios and just disable his ult altogether. But it is what it is. Of course, this one here, 50% chance for the buff to not be undispellable, which again, it sounds good on paper, but it's not really a worthy set for anything. So those are the rewards today. Of course, now our total is 120,000. I mean, we're easily 58k behind the leaders right here, and I'm pretty sure that these aren't even the top leaders by the end of reset, because I'm only 4 hours after reset, and I know a lot of the guys don't get on till later for those top, the big top performing people. So that's pretty much it. I guess while I'm on here, I can go do my vortex run real quick. I might be able to improve some gear slightly. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and collect this stuff. We're losing so far, but that's just because most of our guild won't get on till later or tomorrow to start doing their stuff. Right now, our arena team is well ahead. We're far behind on the vortex. We'll definitely catch up here, I'm sure, and we should catch up on the dungeons as well. At any rate, let me go to my forge real quick. I might be able to forge one of those epic pieces into a legendary now. Nope, I still don't have that one. So I forget what I just got then. Oh well, it is what it is. Our Vortex team is not the best. It's not the worst. Yesterday I ranked, I think exactly number 70, which to be fair is not great. I'm used to being in the top 3 or top 5 at least, but usually the top 3. But when you quit, and you come back halfway through the season and you're so far behind everyone, you're not going to be competing for top spot. So we'll go ahead and let this run, and then we'll end the stream there, and everybody can go on about their day or evening, and hopefully those teams help you put together some ideas for how to get the 22 million. Again, it's not that hard at the end of the day. It's just a matter of having resources, which I've complained about in all of my videos. I'm not going to get too much into it today. The gearing system in this game is just, with the lack of stamina that you get for progression, the gear RNG in this game is crazy, and it's not for lack of trying. as you can see, I mean, I have a ton of gear. Like, I have all these pieces and not one enlightenment, which, to be fair, I don't really need it this season. There's a couple things I could use it for. But, you know, look, it's not for... And this is after having sold a ton of gear as well. And that's just chest pieces, you know. But if I go here to Shade of Death and I narrow it down to attack bonus, yeah, I have 6 attack bonus pieces, but look at the substats. Defense, percent defense, HP, and attack. This is one of the better ones with 7% crit rate. Whoop-de-doo. This one here is decent. Okay, with 17% crit damage. This one here is 18% crit damage. And, you know, a whopping 3% crit rate on this one. And this is one that I just upgraded from Epic earlier. This is actually the best piece that I have by far. I might actually put that on Rook instead. Just get his numbers up a little bit. He's only at 90% crit rate. So if I can get him up to closer to 100%, that might actually do me some good. Nope, no crit. I'll take the 25% crit, 24% crit damage though. Get there. Now he's at 97%. So it's still better, and he has more crit damage. So that's good. He's got the crit rate. I'm pretty sure I don't have a better pair of crit rate gloves. I mean, 258 attack. Is that gonna 9%? Is that an even trade? I guess we can try it. The defense is going to go down a little bit. He's probably going to die a little sooner, but we'll see what happens with that. Dargo has these gloves on. I can actually change those out because I did get some crit rate gloves earlier, although the substats on all of them are terrible. Either way you look at it, it is what it is. So go ahead and save that. Look at our skill timings here for this week's because of how the shield things work. Oh, speaking of, I have to change Sonarl's artifact. This is the artifact, the chest, the Radiance chest. Basically, I keep that on him all throughout the season, but because of the way this week's bonus on Vortex is, I actually need to put the Gatekeeper staff on him because we do more damage with shields, and then that'll do there. And then skill timing is as follows. We have Calavera going at 26.5, Sonarl's going at 29. Although one could argue that Sonarl could go at 10.4, and you know, I got these numbers from a guildmate, so I didn't question them. It is what it is. And then of course we have Dargo going first. So put defense down. Whisk going 3 seconds later, and then Rook going like half a second after Whisk. And that's the team. We're top 70 if we're lucky, you know. Don't need to load that. Make sure we have the attack aura. That's the only aura we have. We'll go ahead and hit play and let that run. You know, at the end of the day, it's actually I'm content with being in the, you know, anywhere in the top 100. Yesterday was exactly number 70. Again, given the fact that I quit. I started out the season. I played for maybe a week at the beginning of the season because I heard that there were some changes coming soon. So I wanted to come back to the game and get rolling, and then I just got busy. You know, I have a business to run outside of, like, this YouTube thing is something I'm trying to do, trying to build following as kind of a hobby. Maybe it turns into something. I highly doubt it. It is what it is. It passes the time while I'm gaming. Gives me something to talk about. Hopefully somebody, one of you guys out there will learn something from what I'm putting out. But just got real busy. I got 2 kids who are both in sports, and you know, a lot of projects around the house. I'm actually working on building a media wall for my wife. And just got real busy, so I ended up quitting, and then I got word that the new version is coming very soon, so I kind of got a little hyped for that. Now I'm back trying to salvage the rest of my season, and it's going decently. I mean, I can't expect too much with, you know, such a lockdown on resources like, you know, bread and things like that. Of course, I could buy my way through the Walker trials, but either way, once you front load that bread and you use it all, it's gone, and you're still back at square one because 99% of your gear drops are going to be trash anyway. So, and this team is doing decent. I think I might do a little bit more than I did yesterday. I do know that I capped out my damage, my psychic core damage for. Oh, there we go. Now we're dying. Yep, I did cap out my psychic core damage for fire and poison. I'm pretty sure this is more than what I did yesterday. I'll go back and look. But 920 mil. Of course, we all know who does all the damage. Rook comes in and 90% damage. We'll go ahead and save that because we're not going to do any better. And then we'll see how our number today compares to yesterday. So today we did 920. And yesterday we did 848. So this should bump us up a couple of spots. If I look at the total rankings from yesterday, I was number 70. So 920 gets me, I mean, not very much higher. It gets me right at like 56, number 56. So, you know, it's a 14 spot improvement, but it's not really going to matter, I don't think, with the rewards. Yeah, 4 to 10. Yeah, I'm still going to be 51 to 150, so I'm still only getting 224 or 220 echoes and 1500 affinity solvents. Speaking of which, I might as well go ahead and show my psychic core. And this is where I'm at with it. I just capped this one out, and then I got enough for level 1 on both of these. I'm going to try to cap these out before we get to the end boss. I'd like to cap these out as well, but I highly doubt it. These three here are just defensive ones. They'll help with my survivability. But that's what, 120, 120. So that's 240, another 120. That's 360 plus 2 more of these, which is another 80, 160. Yeah, so I highly doubt that I'm going to get all of this capped before we get to the end boss. But I'm going to do my best to. At any rate, that's pretty much it for this video. I don't have anything else to work on at the moment because I have no resources. I can buy one more bread. I usually never buy the one for 200 because it's a ripoff, and it's actually kind of a slap to our face that they incrementally charge like this, especially since you can only buy 4. I could see if you could buy an unlimited number and you just increase the price as you go. Sure, okay, whatever. But again, not going to get into a long rant about the lack of stamina in this game because it's not going to change, at least not in this version. Hopefully in the new version, you know, they do give us gear crafting and they're giving us some kind of gear crafting and stuff like that, but there are materials that we have to farm for. So hopefully, one negative sign is that on the new version that's coming, or at least on the Chinese version, maybe they're going to change it for the global release. But you know, this 60 stamina packs that you can buy on the current server or the current version, you can buy 4 every day. On the new Chinese server, you can only buy 2 every day, and then that's it. And then your restoration, as far as I know, is the same. So I'm pretty sure it takes like 24 hours to get to the entire 150. It's actually really crazy. And again, anyway, I'm rambling on about that again to no effect. So we'll leave that alone, and we'll go ahead and wrap the video up here. Again, if you know, if you enjoy my content or found it useful or helpful or insightful in any way, please consider liking and subscribing and commenting. It would go a lot to help my channel grow and, you know, get more viewers and cool things like that, so I can get more information out to more people and hopefully help somebody. So without further ado, I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you and have a good night.